developments in. It's a player we've looked at before, but he's got to come onto the docket again. Xavi Simons. It's a name that I find it a Marmite name when you talk to people. Some people are like, this is brilliant, this kid's an ex-Coutinho and all this. Some maybe a bit like us, so it's fair to lay cards on the table or meh for a couple of reasons. Now, Simons is young, he's at Red Bull. We know our relationship, we like Red Bull players. Simons this season is almost split Barts. It's important to stay between left wing and attacking midfielder. That's important to say. And we do like versatility. Yep. There's no doubts about that. So that has to come into the mix. Got a lot of experience, international as well, for a player that is so young. It also comes to this when we've been digging, and we mentioned this on the transfer show. Liverpool's creativity is a bit of an issue at the moment without Trent in the side. We've talked about that before, and obviously he looks like he's set to go. We're in dire need of it. We need it badly in the side. And this is a name that comes up in terms of maybe not output in terms of goals and ultimately that, but definitely a creative player, as we keep hearing, it's keep mentioning again and again and again. Dutch, can't ignore that. Well known by a lot of the players, can't ignore that. Known by the manager, can't ignore that either. People will really split. And Red Bull play so many systems, Barts, as we know, like a 3-5-2, a 4-box, as they call it, 3-4-3, even as they do. So that's their style. He is flexible. People are going to like a lot of that. People are still not going to have a lot of that. But we've got to talk about Xavi Simons and run his metrics for an attacking midfielder and someone who can play on the left wing, which we'll talk about more. What are you seeing when we layer all that on?
So I'm not going to do the board over stuff because we've done that before, and you can go and have a look at TMM 20, I think it was. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But if we look at that distinct split, so here he is as an AM, right? And not a lot has probably changed since the last time we looked at him, but defensively, sure, 70th percentile, doesn't do the stuff tackles we don't want him to do. Could do a bit more of blocks, but he's proactive, right? Not a lot wrong with that. This is compared to AMs, okay? Doesn't receive the ball progressively that well, though, for an AM. So having just said what we just said about our lad at Leicester, you should be in and around the zone 14 area to receive the ball high to then play, okay? So he doesn't do that as well. Doesn't get in the box much as an AM, all right? Doesn't take players on, that's fine. He's a passer. He's a progressive passer. Pass completion is 67 percentile, which is, it's okay. And 88 percentile of passes attempted. So he's trying to play that ball, as you said, trying to play the risky pass, the progressive pass. Fine. We look at what he does in the box. Non-penalty goals, 70th percentile. Okay. Shots total, 51st percentile. Given that he's probably tasked with being that third man run, that could potentially be a little bit higher. But anyway, assists. This is what he would be in the side for.
Yeah.
And that is 48th percentile. So that is a little bit low if you are buying him to be a creator. Expected assists and goals, 79. Good. So it could be that someone didn't put the ball away. Fair enough. And shot creating actions. He is creating 4.78 shot creating actions per 90. So that is another positive, all right? Now, if we are comparing him with an AM and we therefore compare him with our Dom, he does have a very similar profile. Very similar profile. He actually outperforms Dom in terms of carries, take-ons, touches are about the same, and progressive passes received and aerial. So he actually outperforms him on quite a lot of the metrics, to be fair, and shot creating actions. But Dom outperforms him on pass completion, which is a standard for Liverpool midfielders. Remember, they have to be a high pass completion. Non-penalty goals. So Dom has scored more. And blocks, Dom has blocked more of the ball, which isn't necessarily something we want our players to do. But anyway, blocks are passing lane. So that is an interesting one. Okay, so you could see how potentially he fits in with those things. To compare to physicality, as we said, he has a top speed recorded as 33, right? If you look at the Champions League, Szoboszlai, if I can just find him on it, lost spirit, Szoboszlai has a top speed of 34, nearly 35. Okay, so there is a second difference there, which might not sound a lot, but that's like finishing 100 meters in 12 versus 11 seconds. So it could be quite a big difference if you actually put it in the scope of that. Now, so you can see that, but if you're buying for creativity, that you would expect to see more assists, right? But then maybe that's linked to the quality of the player in front. Maybe, maybe. If we compare him, as you said, the other profile, which is for left wing, right? So midfielders, and we will change our comparison to his Dutch colleague, if I can find him.
You did have Gakpo there a second ago, didn't you?
We looked at him. There you go. There he is. Right, Cody. This is where, for those who can't see this, Cody pretty much monsters him on all metrics apart from non-penalty goals and non-penalty XG, and assist is slightly better, but about the same. So this is where Cody is better, and this is actually where Simons is really bad off the ball compared to midfielders, right? So if you look at here, he is tackles, interception, blocks, clearances, they're all in the red. But in terms of between the boxes, he suddenly comes into 90th percentile for carries and passes progressively, right? And receiving them. So there's a lot of positive there. And when he's in the box as a midfielder, he's in the 90th percentile, including assists. Okay. So there are a lot of things to like for him. If you compare the two of them as AMs, Cody still does a bit better, but Xavi has a bit more on the pass completion the passing side of it. So I don't think he's a huge upgrade, right? I think that's probably fair. Do I think he's in the rough ballpark of two of the players that currently play the positions that he could play? Yes. I would just potentially, in terms of speed, just to give you that comparison as well, Cody is slow, I think. It's not that slow, though. That's down with the keepers. So, here you go. Cody's 33, so they're about the same pace, all right? Because Xavi was about 33. So, I think you can see where some of the profiles online. And it, as we always say, it's not my money. But if you want to buy a player that can potentially push at one of them, be a backup for the other, go and do that. My philosophy would always be, if you're not buying a youth player to build up, you go and buy someone better than the guy in the position in the team. And I'm not sure this guy is significantly better than what we have in the team. But then maybe we can't afford significantly better. So, I can see versatility tick because he can play two positions pretty well, or two profiles fairly well. It's just the kind of, what are you buying him for? If you're buying him for creativity, then, apart from when he plays as a winger, he doesn't do that as an attacking mid. So, that'd be my one question mark is, where you fit him in the side. But there's some things going on there that would be interesting, should we say, definitely. I could see more now, but I still have question marks about the philosophy, but they probably have some other stuff to go with him. But just gonna have, I suppose,
in terms of left wingers, everyone loves an explosive, pacey left winger, don't they? And people look at things like, we've seen Kavicha linked. People like the idea of a Barcola or Doué just burning people in their midst. That's what you look at, traditional left winger. I think it's important, because this is what I want to discuss with you in terms of the info we've mentioned on the transfer show, that if you look at Slot historically, he's had a creative player in the attacking line. People will mention Calvin Stengs at Feyenoord. It's not always pace merchants. It's sometimes more about having someone that can make things happen. People will also, as we've just talked about, mention that we are lacking creativity. And it's quite clear that Simons, that he does create chances. I mean, he creates more than he shoots by the seams of it. He is a creator, isn't he? Like a play. I don't want to call it a creator. Like people look Coutinho. Let's call it that way. So there's that in the mix. All the Dutch stuff, 60 million price tag. But if he was to be like almost in that attacking midfielder, left half space, and you had a roadrunner, a pace merchant like Kirkaz, for instance, because you almost try and look at how this is being built, does that change it? If Simons was almost supplying the bullets for a number 9, for a Salah, I know you might necessarily want it, but can you see it?
Yeah. I can 100% see the theory on it. I mean, I've just looked up his creativity in terms of XT for Marco, and you'll have to adjust for Bundesliga. He's at 0.14 for this season, and if you look at our players, that puts him level with Diaz, above Mac, above Dom. He's not as good as our top performers, but yeah, he's not bad. I mean, Trent's 0.3 is the top in the entire league, so it's going to be hard to progress. But I can see the theory 100%, right? And I'm all for having more options to play than we currently do. Because let's be frank, at the moment, we can argue about quality of player, but Slot clearly doesn't trust certain players. So therefore, we don't really have a lot of options to change a game. Yeah. Whereas the greatest team I've ever seen play football, which was Klopp's team from 2018 to 2020, they had so many options to win a game of football. That's why they killed you. They could play you on the counter with lightning pace. They could bring a player on and be a bit more, have some insecurities with the power cube from Swiss, right? They could have other bits. They could have so many different. They could cross the ball. They could play through balls. They could stifle you in possession, right?
Yeah.
So if you're asking him to come on to be an option like that, cool. The pace thing, we will need to have pace in the side because you can't play counter-attacking football, which is some of our greatest strengths, with Cody and Mo. That's just not going to work. And you need more than 1 point of that. So if the 9 is lightning, great, but most teams defend with 1 or 2 back. You need another one to distract to go up with him, right? So yeah, I can see it can work in. The theory is great. And you've got to trust the guys with more knowledge than me and more data than me to look at that. But yeah, Kirko's going up the left. That would only be in certain situations, again, on a bit of a break like we would do. My worry would be is how you solve the deep block, because that has become a bit of a problem for us. When teams have defended 1v1 and they've deep blocked against us, low blocked against us, we still have struggled this season to break them down. And I'm not sure Xavi's your man to do that, because there's no space behind to play an intricate pass, because it's shut off, right? And that's the bit. And maybe he's got the one like Mac, where Mac can float it over the top. I don't know, but yeah, I can see the theory, definitely, and you can see how they're going to build it. It's just whether or not that comes to fruition or grass, I suppose.
Well, a player that's got 9 goals and 5 assists in the Bundesliga alone, a player that's got that international experience. City are apparently interested as well and linked even today. Only 22 years old, Dutch, all those things. I think we'll fire him under, I'm going to call him Marmite Barts. I think people will like this player or get it or they won't. This will be, I almost think this will either be your style of 10 and left winger if you get the theory, or you just won't like it and you'll like a pace merchant. It'll just come down to that ultimately. At the end of the day, all that will matter really is Arne Slot, Richard Hughes, and the data team and what their thoughts are as well. But there we go. So with random people, Bilal El Khanous, maybe something there. Can't see it for us. Jesus Rodriguez, raw, probably too raw. A bit more to do, a bit more data needed to make any project move there. Xavi Simons, he's 100% in the mix, as we know. We can see it in theory, absolutely, where, you know, for road runners outside of him, a speed merchant, he could load bullets for a pacey attacker. He's a creative player, he's a playmaker. We need more threat. None of that is debatable. Does that make him the first pick for a £60 million plus move to Anfield? Not convinced for everyone, but you're going to have your opinion on that, whatever we say, I suspect, because we can all see his games. There we go. 3 players, 3 mixed reviews, 3 indecisive conclusions. You can make your own. All that leaves me to say, as ever, is Bart, for the insight, for the analysis, for the stats, and for still sticking on the meh. It is much appreciated.
No worries, anytime.
And ladies and gents, that was another Transfer Market Metrics for Anfield Index.